Tree Talking Time is brought to you by Conkey's Outdoors and Stone Creek Hound Supply. Be sure to check them out for all your hound hunting needs. Welcome to Tree Talking Time, where we talk all things tree dogs, from the smallest feists to the largest hounds, treating squirrels to bears and everything in between. And from time to time, we might even run a little fast game. Kind of one of the things that I want to cover for the general pleasure hunter, how to get to, the big hunts, the elite handler series type of stuff, how does somebody get there? So that's kind of what I wanted to pick your brain about. And,
sure.
The couple of nuggets that you dropped while we were in the van on our way to that cast, I thought was great. And I just kind of want to expand on that. But, I've heard you talk a little bit about how you got started in coon hunting and stuff, but never a full story. And at the same point, I think there's not always an overlap between different podcasts. So maybe just kind of tell a little bit about how you got into coon hunting and just that origin story. And then we'll kind of progress through that, and how you got to where you are today.
Okay. John Strickland here, Springfield, Kentucky. I live in Springfield now I moved 16 years ago. Originally from Richmond Hill, Georgia, right outside of Savannah.
Okay.
Then I started coon hunting when I was, I was 9 years old. My dad or family, no one ever did it, and there was a neighbor down the road. I used to ride the school bus with his daughter. As a matter of fact, his name was Mike Anderson, and he had dogs in the back, and I was always up there playing with his daughters, and I'd be, what kind of dogs, what coon dogs, and I want to go. And so he said, well, all right, we'll go. I'll take you one night. He had a little Toyota. I'll never forget it, a white Toyota four-wheel drive single cab. And he, after 8 or 9 times of asking, he said, all right, be here at 7 o'clock. So it was right down the road from my house. So I walked down the road to his house at 7 o'clock, and he's already gone. So, yeah. So the next day, Mr. Mike, you left me. Oh, I told you to be there at 7 o'clock. And I'm like, I was there at 7 o'clock. Well, you wasn't there in time, So when you going again? He said, I'm going tonight. He said, be there at 7 o'clock. So that night I got there at like 6:30, and waited outside his house. And he said, sit outside. I'll be there in a minute when I get through eating dinner.
You learned your lesson, that's for sure.
Yeah. So I wait, and he goes back and gets these old dogs out, couple dogs out, puts them in the dog box, and I remember he had a regular cab Toyota pickup truck, and he said, all right, get in. I went to get in the back. He's in the truck. He said, no, you ride in the back, right on the dog box. All right. So I crawled up on the dog box, and we went about 3 miles down the road, and we hunted. We went in there a couple drops, and I think the next night we went again, and you keep up, boy, come on. I was small.
Mm-hmm.
Keep up, come on. And finally, about the third night, he said, here, take this dog lead and go and get them dogs. It wasn't far off the road. I walk in there, and he left me. Now, I wasn't but 3 miles from the house, but me and them old dogs walked down the road. Now, it felt like 400 miles. Every foot I took, I cried like a baby. And I walked all the way. His house was right before my house. I walked all the way to his house, and he was sitting in the driveway with a liquor bottle. He was a big drinker. He's sitting there drinking, waiting on me to get there. He said, all right, be here at 6:45 tomorrow night. I can teach you how to really coon hunt.
He was just testing you, huh?
Yeah, I guess so. And he, he took me, gosh, I don't know, probably 50 or 100 times, maybe 6 months. And this guy down the road named Jimmy Beasley, he was a big guy. He weighed probably 400 pounds. He loved the hunts, but he couldn't walk to the trees and whatnot. So there was another neighbor. Matter of fact, he was at my house. He just made me realize he was my oldest living friend.
Mm-hmm.
He just brought out his name's Peyton Caudell. He hunted for years, and he quit and went professional bull riding for PBR and did really well at that. And he came Sunday night or Monday, and hunted. and bought a little female that I had, and he hunted, and he reminded me, so we're like our oldest living friends right now. We met when we were like 6 years old, and
Oh wow.
so Jimmy Beasley, I don't know if we get he had a long bed, 2-wheel drive, regular cab, Toyota Tacoma, or like Toyota pickup.
Mm-hmm.
I guess there weren't Tacomas back then. Had mud grips on the back, and we'd get in there, and we'd go to all these hunts, and we'd win them trophies at 10, 11 years old, and then
Jeez.
he'd stack them up, and put them all around his trailer. He lived in a trailer. He'd put them all around his mobile home. And he liked them trophies, but he'd get tired. I mean, he was probably 12 or 13, but he'd get tired. And we'd drive. He'd sit on the passenger side, and I would drive, and Peyton would do the gears, or Peyton would drive, and I'd do the gears, and we'd drive. Man, we'd drive all over the place, going early in the morning, coming home from hunts. So anyway, yeah, all the dogs back then, it was UKC hunts, and they were 3 hour long, and they all packed up, and it was more or less just a calling contest. And you hunted for trophies, and there'd be dogs everywhere. You'd have treeing contests and bench shows, and I know they still do that today, but it was huge, and
mm-hmm.
Heck, you go to these UKC hunts now, they don't even give trophies away. Not the little hunts, they just give a wind slip away.
Yep. Now those UKC hunts, from what I've been told, were like, it was an all day thing.
Oh yeah, it would start about 11 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock, and
mm-hmm.
and it would go all day. I mean, yes, sir, it absolutely would. It was more family oriented, than what you have today. And then, so I kept on hunting until I was, I guess 15, 16, and then they come up with PCA. That was before PKC.
Yep.
And PCA had the $250 entry hunts, and as a young person, I would always been drawn to that money. You pay $250 entry, you win $4,000. I mean, he was hunting against the Junior Jackson, Ronnie Bone, Tim Kramer,
mm-hmm.
Paul Sheffield, Doug Jackson. That group, I mean, they were real hunters. I mean, as good as ever lived, and Barry Kitty, and so I would hunt a couple of them a year. Being a kid, I didn't have that much money to go run, and I'd hunt a couple of them a year, and a couple people, I'd win the fire at them UKC hunts, and they'd say, "Hey, well, let's go to a PCA hunt." And somebody paid the entry, and I'd go and compete. But it was from I guess about when I got 16, 17, 15, 16, somewhere. Yeah, about 15, I wasn't able to drive. I had done very well in all the UKC stuff and the little local hunts and the trophy, and won the Grand American.
Okay.
I think it was ACHA back then. I was 15 years old hunting a dog named Hertz Ball and Roy off of Hertz Ball and Banjo. But I had won that thing, and then after that, I'm like, I'm going to hunt the money hunts. I'm going to hunt the PCA hunts, and I hunted as many as I could, and just pleasure hunted. But it was, man, I'm going to be honest with you, it was like forever before I even want to cast. I mean, it was, you competing against grown men, and it was like 5 or 6 years,
Mm-hmm. Now,
and then
when you were hunting all those UKC hunts, were you hunting your own dogs? Were you hunting dogs for other guys? I know you said when you started you were hunting dogs for somebody else, but
well, I still hunted. I mean, heck, I didn't have enough money to buy my own dog. I took my dad had deer dogs, and I took a little dog named Ronnie Sue. She was a running walker. She wouldn't tree. She'd strike and run, and she'd be standing at the bottom of the tree looking up when you got there. She'd be with them other dogs, and I'd strike her and tree her. You get in there, and she'd be standing there, and she wouldn't even bark. But gosh, I can't even remember how many trophies I won with that thing. And it was funny because you just struck them and treat them. I mean, the dogs never split up back then. And then finally, I hunted, and got out of school and was working too, and I bought a dog named Lucy that Paul Sheffield, little female Paul Sheffield had run. And I guess they won Georgia with her or something. And they had a male dog. I can't even remember his Luke. Luke. They were hunting Lucy and Luke, and I got her, and then I was, just at a little different level, and had a treeing walker versus a running walker that would actually tree. She was pretty independent, and she was a good strike dog. She only had a coon, and I learned to win with her, and then then the PKC come along, which really, really helped because, when you take a kid that's got no money and not a lot of dog power, nobody backing him, PCA was really hard to compete. I mean, heck, you might not still ever, if you still circumstances, you might still have not won a cast, but
Yeah.
then PKC come along and the Ridgeland hunt was right there by the house. They had Hazelhurst and Baxley, Georgia, and Waycross and Ridgeland, and that was a big one. And I started, hitting them and just getting better and better and better at it. And I guess it rolled on there to kind of dabble and playing and doing. And then about 2001, well, it would have been before. It had been in the 99 range.
Mm-hmm.
Started running a little more serious and got a little older. And then in 2002, decided we wanted to run the KC Pro Division. That was like the division to win. If you won the Pro Division, you had done something.
Okay.
And got to rolling with Bad Habit, and actually run it in 01 with Swift Creek and I think we ended up second. I don't think Barry Kitty won it with Ruby that year, if I'm not mistaken. And in 2002, we run Habit. And we won the Pro Division. And in 03, we were just exhausted from doing it. And we, running state race and Pro Division whole 9 yards. And then 2004, somebody said that no dog's ever won it, twice. And we took Habit and won it again. But in between that time, I guess we'd hunted Salt Creek Jimmy and several dogs. And I won the Georgia State hunt that year. I guess that would have been about 98 or 99. And then I won the South Carolina State hunt the next 2 years in a row. Me and Kramer had dogs together. So I won three different state hunts, 3 years in a row.
Nice.
And, just got better and better at it. And then, Russ Myers called me one day and says, "Hey, let's put something a little different together, $100,000 hunt." And that's how it started, and break it up 33,000 each night, and winning that one time, and it just started growing into more money and getting a little better and a little better, and just over the years, it's just grown.
Oh yeah. Now, if you were to start today, do you think your trajectory would look different?
Knowing what I know now?
I'm just saying, so somebody starting out today.
Okay. Doesn't know anything.
Yeah. And with today's style of hunts.
Mm-hmm.
Because you kind of came up in it as everything was coming along and as things were getting bigger and growing. So you would just kind of grew with the sport is what it kind of sounds like.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Today the problem... back then, the dogs all packed up, and I think it took a little better handler than it does today. Today, the dogs are more independent, and we got Garmin. Man, back then we didn't have Garmin. You had to know your dog. You could use a tracking system, back then, and I think you had to be a lot better handler and a lot better dog man back then.
Okay.
Now, I mean, you got. Oh gosh, everything's just changed so much. If you think about it, like I used to thrive. I used to really, really pat myself on the back at how good I was at finding a coon.
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays, thermals, we find them in 30 seconds. You ain't got to be real good at finding a coon now. Well, thermal finds it. So that alone's easier. A weakness I had, to be honest with you, back in the day, is calling the wrong dog. I mean, I can't tell you how many times in my life I've called the wrong dog. I remember Ronnie Smith had this, oh gosh, I can't think her name, Death Wish. And she barked all over the world, and every time I'd rode that thing, he would beat me. Ronnie would beat me. And finally, we was at the Russ Meyer hunt, and I get struck in there, and she makes a circle tree, and I was hunting Jenny, little Salt Creek Jenny female that I got from Jerry Moe. And we walk up on the hill, and this dog's treed right-handed through there. And I said, Judge, you stop listening. Yeah, you got me. You tree me. I tell Ronnie, I said, yeah, I got you now, bud. Because, I'm struck for 75, dream for 100 over here. That circle tree killed you. I said, I got you. He said, yeah, it sounds like you do, Strick, and I had the Jenny. And anyway, I get about 200 yards. I'm going by myself. I get about 200 yards, and I'm listening. The closer I got to Jenny, it didn't quite sound like Jenny. Yeah. And Ryan Sanders was hunting a female that he really didn't know, and he didn't say anything about it. Well, I walked all the way in there, and about 100 yards away, I'm like, this ain't my dog. And then I heard Jenny way through the world load up. And I'm like, my gosh, I have give this cast away again. Ronnie Smith's going to win again because all I got to do is shut up, listen, not get pumped up about beating him.
Yeah. And
overzealous and tree her when she trees. I walk in there and she's got a coon. But so I walk back to the cast and they're like, what's wrong? What's wrong? I'm like, well, you minus me over here. I called the wrong dog and tree me over here. And Ronnie's like, guess what, Strick? I said, you had a coon. He said, he did. Looks like you didn't get me tonight after all, But so I guess all those years not using the tracking unit, and not having a thermal made me the hunter that I am today.
Mm-hmm.
So those basic fundamentals are still there. I still hadn't learned to, I guess the mistakes I made by not, like if you had a tracking unit, there's no way I'd have made that mistake,
Yeah.
You look down at your Garmin, well, heck, that sounds like me, but that ain't me, I'm over here.
Yep.
I would have made that mistake, not have won. So I think it's easier to handle today. I do.
Makes sense.
Than it used to be. There's no comparison, I mean, you used to always see people call the wrong dog or walk through a tree that it wasn't their dog or that was a common deal to see that. And now you don't hardly see that anymore. You see people look at their Garmin's from start to finish and they walk in into the dog and they know when the dog's treed and you just don't see it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the new way is kind of taking a lot of the handling out, but growing up the old way, I think has made me a better competitor, a better,
mm-hmm.
just smarter or just calmer.
Yeah.
And I've learned that I've always been one to think, I've always been a thinker. I've always thought like, all right, what can I do? I worked for a Jewish family one time, and their saying was inspect what you expect. They used to say that all the time. They had it in their building on the lobby, inspect what you expect. And that kind of still rings home. If I expect I got a dog that's going to shut up and the two's going to catch it, or it's going to run deer, all those things are going to beat you.
Mm-hmm.
So don't wait. It's not going to go away. So don't wait until you get in a hunt. So I run a deer for another hour again. Inspect it here.
Yeah.
So when you go, you're ready, and I've always been pretty big at that. And I've always kind of thought outside the box. Like I got some different ways of like train them to breaking them off possums. For example, I've got a unique way of breaking one off a possum and same thing with just I've hooked up cameras so that you could see. This is before cameras were around. I had a underwater bass camera one time that I sit down. I run a cord like 400 yards down a ditch and set this camera up. It had a screen, it plugged in.
Yeah.
I had to get a 9-volt battery to run it, and I sit on the tailgate and I'd take a possum and put down there in a cage in a trap. and they had that camera on it. I'd send the dog down that ditch. And when that dog got to that ditch, every time he run to that possum, I'd burn him up with that electricity.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he associated that shocking with that possum and not with John.
Yeah.
Whooping him and beating on him, So that's been way back. Nowadays, you can do it. There's 2 or 3 other ways you can do it. I feel it's a lot better, and you can work on it 24/7 while you're sleeping, and it just works. But there's just it's evolved, and I've always just thought about, hey, how can we do this or how can we do that, and what do I need to do and what do I not need to do? So.
Conkey's Outdoors is proud to be a sponsor of Tree Talking Time. Family, hunting, tradition is the Conkey's motto. They understand the importance of passing down the tradition of hound hunting. They are a family-owned business that treats you like family. They also understand the importance of having the gear you need when you need it. Conkey's carries everything for your next hunt, and it ships to your door quick. They also offer great warranties on all tracking systems and financing options. Check them out at conkeys.com. You can also use the code TreeTalkingTime5 in all caps to save as well.
A lot of people in these hunts, to be honest with you, they overthink it.
Mm-hmm.
And they give cast away,
Oh, yeah, I've seen it happen.
Yeah, they'll give cast away. Or they'll think that they got to hunt their dog every night up to the hunt, and then even the night before the hunt. They're like, oh, I got to hunt this dog one more night. And my deal is, if that dog ain't ready by now, one more night's not going to help him,
Mm-hmm.
So if I felt like I had to hunt one more night, we were ready. I think that you're better off letting the dog rest. The dog's mind's clear. Your mind's clear, because every dog has a different night in and night out. They're not going to do the same thing. I mean, we would love them to be, but the circumstances are going to change.
Yeah.
So the night before, like the world hunt starts tomorrow, for example, I'm not going to hunt tonight. But let me give you an example. If tonight I go out there and this dog does some stupid stuff and trees 3 gut slicks or trees a possum or whatever, then, and we have a bad night, then in my mind it's going to be like, man,
Mm-hmm.
I'm worried about that. Instead of concentrating on just winning tomorrow night and doing my job as a handler, I'm worried about what that dog's going to do.
Yep.
And the same token, so he goes out there and looks like $1 million. And then I'm all pumped up. I'm going to win this thing. And he goes out and don't look as good tomorrow night. Or he's sitting through the world in a hunt. You don't need a tree to win, but because he looked so good last night, that tree me, I'm going to show you another one. Walk in there and it's slick, and you give the cast away. So I'm not a big believer in hunting the night before. I think it does the dog way better to have rest. Matter of fact, the week before I start easing off of mine, a lot of guys hunt them 4 or 5 hours a night all the way up till. And what I'll start doing, I normally hunt 3 or 4 hours a night. And what I'll start doing is about a week before the hunt, I'll start throttling them back to, maybe I'll hunt something else and leave them in the box, and I might start hunting an hour a night or an hour and a half, or say, the week before 2 hours and cut them by an hour and a half, an hour, and, so that they just get more rest and more eager. They're more dogs. I mean, you think about it, if you do something every day, day in and day out, that starts getting, a little old to you. And then all of a sudden they take that away from you and you can't do it no more. It takes you a little while, but you get that fire back in you,
Yep.
If you love it. And I don't know why so many people think that the dogs are so much smarter and have feelings, that we don't have. That makes sense. I mean, you think about how you live your life, how you get stale and you don't want to coon hunt every night, But if you stay home for a month, and all of a sudden, boom, you're ready to get to go. You got that fire. So if we get that way, why wouldn't a dog get that way?
Mm-hmm.
Or how tonight, I've had an awful day. My head's killing me. I've got some kind of flu virus going around or sickness going around. But I can say, hey, I don't tell you that dog can't say that. So,
exactly.
I mean, I don't, it's almost like a lot of guys today act like they're a Honda generator. They're a machine.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not. They're still a living, breathing, had feelings. They're still an animal. They can't talk to you, but they can if you watch them. If you pay close attention, they can talk to you more than you think they can.
But like you said, you got to really pay attention and watch and
Yeah,
know what you're
just
looking
build
for.
a. Yeah, I'm, and if you notice the stuff that I win with, typically I hunt by itself, night in, night out, just me and the dog for a good while, and then I'll start mixing it up with other dogs. But I spend a lot of time. I spend a lot of time with these dogs, and that particular dog, whichever one I'm running, give it a lot of attention and just get where I just know everything and about it, and pretty much know, hey, here's a big bluff over here. I know what he or she's going to do in this bluff, or here's a real wet area. I know what they're going to do there. Or, like the super hunt, for example, right out the truck, the lady was left-handed, and she stayed in about an acre, round and round and round. And walking to the first tree, Joey says, "What in the world are yours doing?" I said, "Well, Joey, there's a coon sitting there somewhere, and she's winding it, and she's going to do one or two things. She's fixing to find it, or she's fixing to get frustrated and get treed and not have anything." But I knew the dog, and when she was doing that, she wasn't blowing out of there because that coon was there.
Yeah.
And she's figured out he's there. There's 10 or 15 trees that she knows he's in, and she just can't quite find it. But she's fixing to either A, get treed, it ain't going to be long, and have him, or A, get treed and just have a bad tree because she could get frustrated.
Yeah.
And luckily she had him. Well, with her, for example, if you can ever pull her off, she's a dog that she's pretty shy, and she don't take a lot of discipline. She's more of a pump me up type dog. I'm not a big advocate of petting a dog on a tree because it'll make them mean, and that's mainly with a male dog,
Yeah.
But a female, you can get away with that, and normally it don't run. If you can ever get your hands on her at that first tree and pull them ears and pet her and grab that head and tell her how good she's doing, when you cut that thing off the next one, when you cut her for the next one, it's not long. She will be sitting under one for you very, very quick. And then if you can do the same thing again, she's going to be sitting under another one very, very quick again. She just thrives on that, Now I could have went in there and not done anything with her. She come on and jerked her around and just right there, and she probably would have went out there and just hung out for a while, and it might have took 20 or 30 minutes, and she might have gotten another zip code before she got treed. But if you'll reward her with kind and affection and show her that she did a good job, she's aimed to please. It's not going to be long. She's going to be sitting through there again.
But see, that goes back to you knowing your dog and knowing exactly what that dog needs.
Exactly. The little Page dog that I hunted, that was another female, and she was, or heck, I give you one Apollo. You go in there and show him how much you appreciate it and pull him out and pet on him. Well, that dude's going back to that tree. He ain't leaving. You ain't getting him off of it. He was like, man, I did it again. So with him, you almost had to make him believe like he didn't have one, kind of jerk him around and come on, get off there, Dad.
Yeah.
And send him, and he'd try that much harder to tree one to show you I can do this. They're all they're just a little different. If you can spend enough time and figure them out and figure how they think, be just a little smarter than the dog, I think you can be successful.
Now, what advice would you have for somebody that, like I said, pleasure hunter? Me, I've got a pleasure dog out here in my kennel. I want to be like you. I want to hunt these big hunts. I want to get to that level. How do I go from being a pleasure hunter to being where you're at today? Like you said, the handling's easier, but it's still, how do I get there?
Well, if I was a pleasure hunter and I wanted to get there, the first thing I'd do is I'd come up with a dog. I would find me a dog that was A, by itself, and B, have a coon. And people could talk about the strike rules, the tree rule, and all this stuff they can change. You want one to bark off the chain and all this good stuff. But at the end of the day, if you can get something that's by itself and have a coon when you walk in there every single time, that's the key. You'll win more than you lose. You can have 1,000 plus points. Okay? I mean, 1,000 circle points. and 125, or heck, 25 plus beats you every day.
Yep.
I mean, you can make 100 trees that are dens, but if you got that one coon, it's going to beat them 100 trees every time. So I'm a big advocate about they've got to have coons.
Mm-hmm.
They've just got to have a coon to win on that level. And if you look at the dogs that win on that level, you look at, gosh, there's so many of them out there, Echo and Tank and the Cookie Dog and Lady and, you know, Apollo and the Burdens, the dogs that like Toppered at the Burdens hunted and Screamer and all the dogs you see, Frogger and all that stuff, Yant hunts and Rickliff hunts. If you at the end of the day, those dogs that keep winning, if you look back, they've got coons when they tree.
Mm-hmm.
They don't win it because they're striking. They don't win it because they're treeing dens. They win it because they've got a real live raccoon looking down when you get there.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm a pleasure hunter, that's the first thing I'm looking for. I'm looking for a dog that's independent, because then it's easier on you as a handler and it helps you out a whole lot. Number one. And number two, that's got a coon. And if you show me that and can keep your composure and not think about, oh, I just paid $100 or $300 or $2,500 to enter this thing. If you can forget that, that's another funny thing. It's like people, I have guys all the time say, man, I saved up my $1,000. I'm going to hunt this. We have the roasting air here at Lebanon every year. And they like, man, I saved this $1,000. I'm going to hunt this roasting air, and I got a good dog. And then immediately they can't get that $1,000 out of their mind.
Yeah.
They're like, man, if I win my catch, I get my money back. And I got a chance to keep going. And it's, they can't get the $1,000 out of their mind. So in my mindset, when I pay that $1,000 or $2,500 or $6,500, my mindset is that money is gone. Mm-hmm. I'm hunting for free. I just got a thing that in my mind that says, hey, I don't have an entry fee now. The money's gone. I spent that money to come to the party.
Yeah.
Now how long I stay at the party, that's kind of on me. But I paid my, I paid my money to come to the concert, and I can stay here and watch Dirk Bentley played it in, or I can stay here in 20 minutes and say this, such, and I can leave. That's up to me. But I kind of try to put it in that kind of category. It's almost as entertainment, because when you pay that money's gone.
Yeah.
Now, if you continue to think about the money in the cast, or if you think about, man, if I win, I can pay my truck off, or I can do this or do that. I don't have anybody ever win. Mm-hmm. I would drive me crazy. I'd spend more time thinking about what I could do with the money versus getting the money done,
No, I like that. Like you said, most people are going to they sit there and they think about it, and then you're not paying attention to your dog. You're not paying attention to what's going on.
Right. And I just try to block everything out, and I put in my mind, hey, I got 90 minutes or 2 hours here that I'm not going to think about problems or good things at home. I'm not going to think about, that new dog I've been hunting. All I'm going to think about is what this dog's doing, what them other dogs are doing in the cast, and what I've got to do to beat these guys and these dogs. So if I'm out there and my mind starts drifting away to, like, I got 3 projects starting next week, or I got a closing next week, then I immediately kind of talk to myself and be like, man, get your head back in the game. For the next 2 hours, all you need to worry about is this. Yep. Nothing else is this. For 2 hours, you need to worry about this. And that sounds real easy, but it's not easy sometimes. We got life going on, but you've got to get where you just concentrate for this next 2 hours. And you got to think ahead, like, okay, I've got 75 strike, 125 tree. I got 200. This other guy's got 100, 125. All right. So I'm leading right now, but my mind is I've got to tree another coon. Why have I got to tree another coon? Because he is going to tree a coon and he's going to be ahead of me. Well, versus just cutting, I'm constantly looking at my Garmin for, for example, creek bottoms or ponds, or, during the summertime, them frogs get around them ponds, and coons gonna be around the pond. Crops, where's the crops at? Where's the acorn hill at?
Mm-hmm.
So when I do walk that minute and I do cast my dog, I put him in the direction to best tree a coon the quickest.
Yeah.
Because, we turn two dogs loose, one goes left, one goes right. And like I said to you that night, if mine runs down there left-handed and there ain't a coon for 2 miles, I got to get 2 miles. Yours takes a right, and they're having a coon reunion down there. They found a couple of crawfish, and there's 20 coons eating them crawfish. Who's going to tree a coon? Come on. I mean, you've got the best odds. So I'm constantly looking at Garmin and a topo, and you'll see me look at my phone more than the Garmin because I've got Hunnix, and I can get a little more detail. And it's more, up to date than even the Garmin. But you'll see me over that phone, pulling that phone. And what that is I'm looking for ponds or creeks or water if it's dry, or if we in real wet area, I'm looking for the hill that the coon is probably sitting up on. Or if acorn season's in, like where's the acorn trees, the thickest trees look like you're going to be. If it's during crop season, where's the corn? Where's the point of the corn, the edge of the corn, because then coons go in there. So for 2 hours, you just got to put in your mind and just think of nothing but, hey, how can I win this coon hunt? How can I win this coon hunt? What have I got to do to keep Ben from hearing his dog back to the right and hear mine? Now, I'm not talking about crutch around or talk or yak, yak, yak. I'm talking about, hey, I looked on my Garmin and I see there's a big hill right here. If I get around the backside of this hill, that hill's between you and your dog, but it's got me in the right position. So I won't say, hey, guys, follow me. I'm going to put y'all behind this hill so you can't hear your dog. When we leave, I'll start walking that direction. You wouldn't believe people will follow you. They'll just follow you.
Yeah. Not even saying anything.
Yeah. I mean, we was the side-by-side hunt that I won with Betty White this year. We pulled Weed's dog off a tree, and he's there's a beautiful creek bottom down through there, and it's a big, big hill. Well, I'm a mile. I'm out of pocket. I'm done. I'm out of this thing, and I'm thinking, man, I've got about 40 minutes left in this hunt, and there's no way I'm ever going to get back where I can hear this female. I mean, I know where she's at, but you're not going to hear her. And I get to look at this Garmin, and I see there the tallest. I look at the topo map, and the tallest spot is straight in front of us, and it's about 300 yards, maybe 350 yards to the top of this thing. And Weed's treed at the bottom. So when he gets off, I'm standing by the judge, when he pulls off his tree, and he says, the minute it started, I just start, let's go. I start walking up this hill. And they all, everybody follows up the hill. Nobody wants to walk up a hill.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm trying to get, if I can just get to that top there, I'll be able to hear this dog. If I can just get to the top. And nobody says anything. And I think Maynard and Jake Moore were spectating. They were all in the back. And finally one of them said, why are they letting him drag them up this hill? They're following him up a hill. Why are we doing it? Because they don't walk up a hill. They're out of breath. Greg hates the hill. And Jake's like, why in the world are these guys letting Strickland take on top of this hill? You know what's going to happen when you get there. You're going to tree. It's going to be over. And finally, somebody said, Casey was judging. Somebody said, let's stop listening. I said, looks like there's a clearing up here, which was the top of the hill. I said, we get in that clearing. You can hear in every direction then. And Casey said, yep, we're going to get top of this. We're going to get to this clearing up here. We can hear in every direction. Then it's fair for everybody. And I thought to myself, yes, sir. If I get that clearing, their butts beat, and we got to the clearing, and sure enough, I'm like, hey, come right over here now. Yeah. You got me through there about 1.2. Yep, tree me. And we walk all the way to me, and I win the side by side. But that was, if I had done what a lot of guys are doing, just walk back to the bottom, walk down the creek, and cut Weed back loose. And Weed's going to go down there and probably get treated again, and you're never going to hear me. And it hung right around and get by and find her on a coon and say, baby, if we'd have been in hearing, we'd have won this thing, but we didn't, so we're going to go home and lose. And I don't know. I just always try to think ahead and
Mm-hmm.
I try to think, what have I got to do what have I got to do to win?
No, like you said, and a lot of people are, I don't know, there's two mindsets, I guess. There's people like you that think, what do I got to do to win? And then there's other people, the best dog's got to win. Just let the dog strike and treat your dog and the best dog wins. But like that, like you said, your dog's out of pocket. She's treed. It's not the
Yeah.
dog. It's just
Yeah.
the nature of the beast is you get dogs split too far apart and you can't hear them. So how can you best help your dog win that hunt?
Exactly.
And that's not doing anything shady. That's not doing anything, backhanded cheating. That's just trying to get within hearing of your dog. Just trying to, let your dog do their job.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's talking about that. There's other guys out there that think about how can I win this thing, and it's in a whole different level, a whole different realm, a whole different pocket that I've tried and I can't even get there. Like, for example, there's guys that think if I can get this, this, and this done, then I'll make the judge make this mistake and they'll have to call timeout. And then I'm going to gather mine and I've got a chance to win. Or, they get across that river, I can make them call timeout. Or I'm beat right now, but if I get mine across the river, I've seen guys that, literally try to send their dogs across the river, knowing they got a handle on them. So they not to tree a coon, but they get timeout called because John's dog's a mile in there, and the Iowa's probably going to catch me because I can't get them, or whatnot. And that's a whole different way of thinking. And I'm mesmerized. And I'm not going to say any names because there's a couple of big hunters that's very, very good at that. And a lot of people don't like that, and they call it shady or cheating or that's not manipulating. And I get it. And it's just another way of looking at things. Now, I don't think that way, and I have a hard time thinking that way, but there's some very, very good guys at doing that.
Mm-hmm.
One comes to my mind it's like incredible at doing it. But I know when you draw him, you have to constantly keep that in your mind. Anytime he'll try to back the judge in the corner or in a corner to make a judge call timeout. You kind of just got to listen to what he's saying and listen to what he's saying to the judge and which direction they want the hunt and just say, hey, you don't want to send across that river because they get across that river, we have to call timeout. We don't want to do that. We'll go this way. And the judge would be like, yeah, come on. Don't send that dog that way, So you just kind of stay on your toes to kind of combat that because they'll get you, and man, I've seen cast after cast after cast won that way, I mean, there's a couple of individuals that's very, very good at that, and you just have to watch them. But hey, it's part of it. It's part of the game,
Yeah.
I don't think I'm smart enough to do that. I'm not smart enough to figure that out. I got a different mindset, and that would be a tough deal for me to try to figure out that way,
Yeah. Stone Creek Hound Supply, a family-operated business, boasts over 50 years of involvement in hounds. For over 2 decades, they've been dedicated to supplying high-quality hound gear. Their reputation is founded on unparalleled quality and exceptional customer service. Crafted from U.S. source materials, Stone Creek clothing is meticulously manufactured right here in Pennsylvania. Through their commitment to excellence, many of their customers have become lifelong friends. One thing I did notice at the Super Hunt that you do is you writing your score down. Is that just your score? Is that everyone's score?
Oh no! I write down exactly what's on that card.
Okay.
And there's 2 reasons to do that. So I saved them. I've got a cigar box, and my box is full now. I got to put them in a folder and start putting blocks up. And I write down when the hunt's over, I write down the date, and I write down the dog and the handler's name and what we did, and kind of I always put like a smiley face or a frowny face or a straight face. And smiley means we had a great hunt. Even if you don't win it, the little annex and animation deal is not about if you win or lose. It's about what kind of cast you have. I've been beat to death and had the greatest cast ever, and put a big smiley face, great cast or something. And sometimes when I ain't doing nothing or, I'll just open that box up and just grab one and look back and they'll say, 2002 South Carolina state hunt, Stephen Smith, John Strickland, Jeffrey Green, look and be like, man, we had and it'll give me a flashback about the cast. It's just a reminder. But that's one reason. That's one reason I do it. I like to save them. But then the other reason I do it is I don't like to have to think about where my score's at and your score's at and the other three dogs' score's at. I don't want to think about that. I don't want to spend any time thinking about adding in my head, he's at 200, I'm at 175. I don't want to think about that. I'd rather concentrate on your dog, what direction he's in, what direction my dog's in, the terrain my dog's in, how far I'm down. There's a lot more that I personally would rather concentrate and think about than the score. Mm-hmm. So if I write it down, all I do is open my book and look, bam. I ain't got to think about that. And then I don't have to think about it anymore. I don't have to add it because I've got it right there. Yep. I don't have to take the 3 seconds to ask the judge, hey, let me look at that card. And then hand me the card and then look at it and then hand it back. Because believe it or not, in them 3 to 6 seconds, sometimes, a dog will do something that you need to be hearing and somebody tree ahead of you or there's a lot of things that can happen in 10 seconds. It takes to look at that card and think about it. So I just find it easier to write the score down. And another thing that'll happen that I've seen happen a lot is so the judge get it wrong on that card. So say I've got my numbers down, I've won on tiebreaker, and the judge will have Ben in it 75 strike on the first turnout versus 50, and now he's got Ben winning. I'm like, no, that ain't right. He took a second strike. I took a second strike. He took a third strike, and that's not very often. I mean, I've seen that twice in my whole time, but it still happens.
Yeah.
Like no, you catch it, but the main thing is I don't have to think about it. I don't have to sit and think about adding or subtracting. I don't have to think about, did he strike first or did you strike first? I don't think about it. I got it written down and I can think about other things versus that.
Do you think that helps you?
Absolutely. I think it keeps my brain more focused on the task at hand, winning that cast. I don't have to think it because I can't change that part of it. That score is written down. There's no way I can't change what is already on that paper. Mm-hmm. The only thing that it goes back to, like I said, trying to clear my mind, of all the extra stuff that gets in there. Because once that score is written down and that dog opens where he opens and you're put in where you're put in, John can't change that at that point. I can't go backwards and change it. So I don't want to think about it, Mm-hmm. So if I write it down, it's out of my mind. If I want to look real quick, takes no half a second, bam, we're done, and then it's back out of my mind. And there's other things I need to be thinking about. Mm-hmm. Like why Jed's always walking so fast. Nah.
I was thankful when you told him to slow down. That's for sure.
Yeah, dude, he's killing everybody. I'm like, man, you got a guy back there with a camera. He's walking. He's about to die. I'm like, and Jed don't mean nothing by it. Jed thinks that's cool because Jed's super walker. He hunts in the hills and up and down and does all that game hunting. And he thinks that's funny to walk everybody's guts out. And hey, that night I really wasn't dying. I was feeling good. But what I wanted to do was slow this hunt down.
Yeah.
Jed was moving so fast.
Yep.
I wanted to slow this cast down. I mean, the way it was, we could have made, gosh, how many trees that night? I mean, it would have been because he was rolling, It's like, and I'm like, hey, all right, we're done. I want to slow down. We need to slow this thing down. Now, if I'd have been behind and need to catch up, I'd have probably, all right, buddy, let's go. Yeah, you're good.
Yep.
But it's all part of it. I'm like, dude, I've got to get him to slow down. Mm-hmm. And how can I get him to slow down? I can't say, hey, I want this cast to slow down so we can drag this thing out and win this thing. You're killing everybody. I'm about to pass out. And So
Well, you weren't really wrong though. We were moving pretty quick, so
yeah, he's killing everybody. He had people strung out for 600 yards through them woods, you know.
that he did.
Yeah.
You've won a lot of big things.
Hmm.
You just won the Super Hunt. You are the interim champion of the Elite Handler Series. Pro Sport Dog of the Year. You
Hmm.
you said quite a few state hunts through the years. What's
Yep.
what's the big thing on the list that you still want to do?
You know, we won the World Hunt with Sluggo handling the dog we own. Me and Rick Bogle did, and so people say, well, they won a World Hunt. And yes, I have won a World Hunt, I guess, on that, but I haven't won a World Hunt handling.
Okay.
You know, and I think I guess that's a big one, and I don't care which World Hunt it is, UKC, PKC, whichever. I mean, I would like to win a World Hunt before my day's done and whatnot. And, gosh, I've pretty much done everything else that I feel like there is. That I've won national race, we won state races, and won state hunts, and trucks and money and invitationals and the Russ Meyer hunt and autumn oats, the one autumn oats, and so there's just goes on and on and on. It's stuff that the accolades that have been the Lord's made it fortunate enough to win, but I haven't personally won the world championship, handling.
Yeah.
And I guess that's I mean, there's no doubt. I guess that's it. You know what I mean? That people say all the time, would you rather win $100,000 hunt or the world championship? It'd be the UKC or the PKC. UKC pays 10, PKC pays 40. And if I had, I had to pull, all right, this ball says UKC, PKC world hunt, or this ball says $100,000 hunt, I would pull one of the world hunts. Not that I don't want to win the $100,000 hunt, because naturally I do, but if I could get one of the world championships out of the way, then I could go out there and chase that $100,000 hunt. And if I never get it, I never get it. But the world hunt is there's just not one every day. So,
Just the prestige of that.
yeah. I guess that would be. We got I've got a dog in the Hall of Fame, habits in the Hall of Fame, and so that's kind of with. I guess one day I would like to be nominated and in the Hall of Fame, myself. But that doesn't really mean maybe when I can't hunt anymore, if I can't go, maybe that'll be a big deal. But right now, if I had to guess, I guess it's for the World Championship.
Okay.
And I get, if you ever watch me on film and camera, Greg Maynard he's seen it so much that he tunes in on it now. He tries to pull it out of me, but I get really emotional. I can see a deer get hit on the road. I'm like, oh, that was wild. It don't follow me a bit, or getting run over by a lawnmower kind of thing.
Yep.
But like greatness tears me up. Like when Tiger Woods, and then I don't watch golf all the time, but when Tiger Woods won that last major or that last Masters, I'm sitting on the couch and I was just flipping through and I watched the last hour of it. I'm over there crying. She says, "You're crying." I'm like, "I'm not crying. You're crying." I'm like, and it choked me up to see greatness. That greatness come to, because I know how much that dude has worked and how hard he's worked on it. And like when we go out to win a truck. I mean, I get tore up. I do, and it's just, I don't know. I guess it's my personality. It's just that man. I've worked so hard and I've put all these hours and lost all this sleep at night. And there's been a lot of ups and downs with these dogs naturally, and now it's all come together, and this is the reward.
Mm-hmm.
And I get choked up about it. That's why if you see like a truck event or whatever, and like the one I won with a lady out in Oklahoma, Greg knew it, and he stuck that camera right in my face. Man, what do you feel right now? Tell me what you feel. He knows. He can get me teared up. I mean, he can get me tore up on camera, and I would imagine that'll be a real big if I ever win a world hunt, that would be a real big thing. I'll be the biggest wussy in the coon hunting world. I'll be tore up. I'm just telling you. I just know me, and I'll be like, man, I won't be able to talk. It'll take me 10 minutes to even say anything to them because I'll just sit there, man, I can't talk to you right now. It's going to take me a minute to let it all sink in,
No, I understand.
So,
Heck, I'd be tore up over some of the things you've already won if I won them. So.
Oh, I have been through the years. I really have. I guess one of the bigger ones that I didn't get tore up on was Autumn Oaks, and it's because I really didn't expect to win it. I took Apollo was 15 months old. He was a pup. He was young, and I hadn't been hunting that long. And I'm like, man, this, and it's almost like cast after cast getting through that thing. I'm like, man, I got to do another one. Man, I got to do another one. The next, I got to do another. And I'm in the finals, and Randy had a pretty good dog in there, and the other three dogs were really good dogs, and I'm like, man, I'm in the final four of Autumn Oaks. It was the first year I've ever hunted it. I had never hunted Autumn Oaks, until that. And I'm like, first year I hunted it, I'm in the final four of Autumn Oaks. It's pretty cool. And then I win it, and I'm like, wow, I wasn't tore. It's like me and you sitting there talking now. I'm like, wow, that is cool. But I didn't put the time and the blood, sweat, and tears because I hadn't had him that long. I hadn't put the time and I'm very goal oriented. So, for example, if I say, okay, I want to win the world hunt, I'll start 8 months before, getting ready for the world hunt.
Yeah.
So that's just that's just how we do it.
No, that's awesome. Any other advice for somebody that's looking to get to that elite handler status?
Just go out there and pay the money at home. I mean, just try to learn. Just try to learn every cast you own. Just try to learn something. And there's an old rule: what you don't know, people will teach you. But the problem is they teach you and then you forget it. So even if you got to make notes on the back side of that scorecard that I write down, my little paper, how did I get beat or how not to get beat next time? Just try to learn from every cast and keep building and storing and building and building. And it won't be long before you know it. And you spend a lot of time, you're like, man, it's second nature. I don't make that mistake anymore. I don't make this mistake anymore, So.
Now, with all these great dogs that you've hunted, who's been your favorite?
Oh gosh, I mean that's a tough question. That'd be like asking which one your favorite kid is. I mean, I've hunted some great hounds. I've hunted Habit and Salt Creek Jimmy female, and of course Big Country, and that Champ dog I just hunted was coon friendest dog I ever owned. I mean, he was incredible to hunt. He had some things I didn't like, but coon friend, he was second to none. And this lady female is, if you say which one's got the best personality and which one do you think more caring and gets what you want her to do, I would say it's her. If you say which one's more Rambo-ish, you're going to get it done no matter what in any situation, I'd have to say it's Habit. If you want to say which one that is more intimidating when you pull out the box on a cast and they hear that dude open and get there and get treed, by far Big Country. I mean, he was so intimidated. He had a good name, and people talk about him. You pull a 90-pound dog out, there's a blue tick, and you pull him out, and he looks like he's all legs, and looks like he's Secretariat and ready for the Derby. And you pull that dude out, and then you open in there, and you hear him a 1.7 come treed. You can hear him that far. It sounds like a train. And then people are like, man, that's it. That's impressive.
Yeah.
So all the chrome and flash, Big Country. Natural coon tree and ability, Champ. The one that made it happen better than any of them, Bad Habit. Okay. The one that tried to please you more, Lone Pine Lady. I mean, so they all got different things that you can say this is better than that. So, gosh, just give me one of any of them I named. Just give me one of them. Yeah.
That's funny though. That you just named a bunch of things about these dogs that you've won with that's very different from each other. Where
Yeah.
where
Oh
there's
yeah.
a lot of guys that they can only win with one type of dog, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never looked. So a lot of dogs like you got to have this kind of dog or that kind of dog. I use a term that I've said to myself over and over: the Michael Jordan effect. Okay, and what I mean by that is, does this dog have Michael Jordan like qualities of greatness? What is there that he does or she does that is great? Okay, that comes natural, that is going to be there. And is that greatness great enough to win at any level? And if you can find that, then you build upon that. You don't make that greatness any better because you ain't going to do it, but you build upon all the weaknesses they have. Forget about the greatness he has. That's coming. That's natural.
Mm-hmm.
Fix the weaknesses that dog has, and then you got something, you know. And some of them might be getting struck quick, you know, and flying through that world, getting under a coon. Some of them might be, trail old bad track up and free a layup coon. Some of them might be just point A to point B, bam, got a coon. There's got to be something great to compete at the level that we compete at. So find the greatness and work on the weaknesses. Mm-hmm. If you can do that, I feel like you can win.
There you go. Well, John, unless you got something else, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me tonight.
I appreciate you taking time to interview me, and yes, it's good sport, and I hope it continues to grow. And thank the Lord, we've been very fortunate to be successful so far. And I said for so many great dog men and dog handlers and dogs out there. It's just hard to pick out one and talk to them and say, hey, what can you teach me? But I guess it's just like the dog I just described. Some of them are better at one thing versus the others. And you can find that greatness even in the people, mm-hmm. Maybe you can pick out the winners, but there's a lot of good guys out there, a lot of great people.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of great friends, and they all feel like family, and I'm just fortunate to have been a part of it and lived it. And I appreciate you guys like yourself out there trying to help other people and put medias out there that they can listen to and maybe get a leg up on.
Mm-hmm. All righty. Well, thank you.
I appreciate both.
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Tree Talking Media. And until next time, keep them talking in the timber.